everybody, SonGoshuaku here, and welcome to my WWE Survivor Series 2020 review. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button followed by hitting the notification bell so that way you are notified as soon as my content is released. A year ago, I was watching Survivor Series 2019 live in person, and a year later, wow, how the world changed. But you know what? Better times are definitely ahead of us. Alright, so I'll start off that I did not watch the kickoff show, but I did hear that The Miz won a Battle Royal, and the Gobbledygooker won his first championship in WWE in 30 years. It took 30 years, but he beat R-Truth for the 24/7 title, and then, of course, got it back later on. Honestly, I am done as far as the 24/7 segments go, but it is what it is, but it's cool. We got Gobbledygooker, and there was a really cool moment where Byron Saxton said, hey, he pinned a legend. I thought that was absolutely hilarious, so definitely a nice treat for old school fans, or maybe not the Gobbledygooker, but it was the 30th anniversary. But let's kick off things with the main show. Alright, so the first match was the Survivor Series traditional tag team match featuring the men of Raw versus SmackDown. Raw consisting of Keith Lee, Braun Strowman, AJ Styles, Riddle, and Sheamus versus Kevin Owens, Otis, Seth Rollins, King Corbin, and Jey Uso. So overall, this match was pretty fun, and I just knew the talent. You had a great talent in, and this is one of the matches that going into it had quite a bit of build up with, at least on the men's side for Monday Night Raw, where it was this whole thing of AJ Styles trying to be the captain and everyone's not getting along, but I knew the talent that was coming into this match was going to definitely deliver, and that's what we got. I have the notes here for the elimination. So our first elimination came at the hands of Seth Rollins getting on his knees and telling Sheamus to hit him with everything he's got, and I'm like, he's gonna pull a Jeff Jarrett and Hulk Hogan from, what was that, Bash at the Beach 2000, and so Sheamus does the bro kick 1, 2, 3, and I guess it's expected because, you know, Seth Rollins is, of course, he's a father. He's got him and Becky have their baby coming along, I think, next month, so congratulations to them, and I'm sure we'll see Seth Rollins back maybe as a babyface. There was a part in this match where Otis and Keith Lee went at it, and they were like two big bulls just going at it, and it really reminded me of some of those late 80s, early 90s match when you would have those big powerhouses just going at it, trying to overpower one another. It was something that we don't see a lot in WWE nowadays, so I thought this was really cool to see. The second elimination in this match occurred after Kevin Owens went on this marathon of stunners to everybody until he was laid out by AJ Styles, hitting him with the phenomenal forearm, eliminating him. From there, our third elimination was Matt Riddle eliminating King Corbin, and I will make, once again, another impressive note at Otis, who was doing some crazy suplexes, especially to Keith Lee. I mean, just gotta put over the strength of these guys. Fourth elimination was Strowman eliminating Otis with a power slam, and then we get to the end of the match, which really showcased Keith Lee in a big way. So Jey Uso goes flying off the top rope, tries to hit Keith Lee, but Keith Lee catches him, puts him up on his shoulders. You think, is he gonna go for a Samoan drop? No, he then flips Jey Uso over into the powerbomb position and nails him with the Spirit Bomb 1, 2, 3. Awesome finish, highlighting Keith Lee a second year in a row. I was at Survivor Series 2019 last year, and man, I can tell you, being there in person, the crowd was way over for Keith Lee when he went to the final two with him and Roman. And then in this match, you know, just a big huge spotlight for Keith Lee and pretty much all of Raw. The Raw ended up dominating. That's kind of what I predicted. I was thinking that maybe AJ Styles would be the only one eliminated, and the irony would be that the whole Raw team was able to get along together. But hey, it all worked out. Overall, really fun start to the show and excellent Raw Survivor Series men's match for this year. Also, I forgot to mention this while I was recording the video, is that Keith Lee got new music, and while I don't know if it's going to grow on me as much as his NXT theme does, he is doing the lyrics to it, and it's a major improvement compared to the generic rock music they gave him. That being said, one thing that I would like to add on that I hope that they eventually do, if they're going to continue with this Raw versus SmackDown gimmick that they've been doing, bragging rights or whatever, that they at least start putting something on the line here so that these matches can matter. The next match was WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, The New Day, consisting of well, Big E came out to accompany them, and they just had their farewell, but they're back together, I guess, for this night. You know, the WWE doesn't take this brand split seriously, let's be honest here. But he was accompanying Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, taking on the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford. Now, when it comes to the comedy of both of these teams, sometimes it can be hit or miss. It really depends. However, that does not take away the amazing athletic talent, the amazing wrestlers that these guys are in the ring. And I knew that as soon as this match was announced, it was going to be on. And that's what we got. We got an amazing match here, amazing tag team match between two of the best teams in the WWE. It was a lot of trash talking going on with the New Day. The New Day, they're the veterans. They're the ones that have been around, and you know, hey, you got to show these young punks, hey, who's been owning the company in terms of the tag team division for what, the last 6 years or so, right? So it was definitely a hard fought match for the Street Profits, and you got a lot of great spots in here, back and forth. Of course, as I always say, Montez Ford's frog splash is a thing of beauty. You know, Eddie Guerrero would be so proud if he was still living today to see Montez do that amazing frog splash of his, which actually did not even finish the match, but eventually the Street Profits were able to go ahead and get the upper hand, and they finished them off with, I believe, the blockbuster against Xavier Woods and pinned him 1, 2, 3, and it was, like I said, it was a hard-fought match compared to a lot of the matches you've seen. It just felt like the Street Profits, they definitely got that work tonight, but ended up getting ahead, winning that match, and I'm glad they were the right team to go over, because the Street Profits are the newer team compared to the New Day, and so the Street Profits go on, continue to ride this wave of momentum. So yeah, WWE has really been pushing this tag team extremely strong since they won the championship earlier this year, which I'm glad they got to win as well, being in front of an audience, you know, before the whole world went to right. Also, and of course, in the end, New Day and Street Profits show great respect, so almost like kind of a passing of the torch moment. The next match was Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn versus the United States Champion Bobby Lashley. I would say this was pretty much the comedy match of the show. But let me just say, both these gentlemen have come a long way since their last feud in 2018. Do you guys remember the Bobby sisters angles? Oh my gosh, let's not talk about that. And I actually kind of thought maybe Sammy was gonna bring out Bobby's sisters to basically go ahead and counter the Hurt Business. And this match was great. The Hurt Business would not interfere. They would not touch Sammy. Sammy kept trying to provoke them, because obviously Sammy was just gonna do nothing against this monster of a man in Lashley, or the Beast, you know. Yeah, I know I'm still in Strowman and Lesnar's gimmicks for Bobby, but my point here is I'm glad that Bobby is finally being booked like an actual machine here. And I'm still in Brian Cage from AEW, but you guys get the point. Hurt Business was constantly being antagonized by Sami Zayn. Sammy trying to find whatever way he could to just basically outsmart Lashley by DQ, or outsmart him by getting a count out. There's one point where I think he tripped over himself, but he was right next to MVP and kept trying to say that, hey, MVP tripped me, but in the end, Lashley ends up getting him defeated with the Hurt Lock, and that's it. So once again, like I said, I think both these guys are definitely in much better places than they were 2 years ago in their feud. Lashley finally being booked like a destroyer, and Sami Zayn, who's been absolutely awesome, I think, since reinventing himself in the heel and waving this ride of momentum ever since, you know, beating Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania early this year. Next match, the SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks versus the Raw Women's Champion Auska. This is the thing. You know, both women are going to absolutely tear the house down when they're in that ring, and they are amazing talents, and both of them have definitely helped carry the WWE through this entire era, this whole pandemic era that we're in. But that's the thing. They had these matches earlier in the summer, and it's kind of like they played it out. You know, they did everything they did with these matches with Sasha and Bayley against Auska. So when we get to here, it's like it doesn't feel as special, but you know the type of talent they are, and they went out there and they did just that. Had an excellent match, great transitions from hold to hold, literally going from hold to hold, constantly trying to put on ankle locks, the bank statements, you know, all the submissions that they know. You know, just a great match that showcased why these women are two of the very best in the WWE. And in the end, Sasha ends up getting the pinfall victory over Auska, which is exactly what I felt needed to happen. If WWE is going to book Sasha like a boss, they need to make sure they do such. No more of this whole Sasha Banks comes out and says she's the boss, but then can't retain the championship, which gladly they finally did. She had a spectacular Hell in a Cell match with Bayley, and she retained her championship, which I kind of thought they rushed that storyline, but the whole point is it's finally making Sasha Banks out to be a boss, and she had to get this big victory around Auska. And this is the point. You know, Auska having been built up now, it's okay she could lose to Sasha because she's been built up high enough to that point all year long. So once again, like I said, great match. They really showcase why these two women are the best of the best in the WWE right now. Next up, we had the Survivor Series traditional women's elimination match consisting of Monday Night Raw having Peyton Royce, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, and Lana versus Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Natalya, and Bayley. Let's be honest, the booking, particularly on the Raw women's side and the build-up for this, has been a mess. This match, in terms of its booking, was a mess. And the outcome for this match was a mess. Here are the notes for the eliminations that I have down here. All right, so the first elimination was Bayley being eliminated by a roll-up against Peyton Royce. Bayley had a 380-day reign as the SmackDown Women's Champion, longest SmackDown Women's Champion in WWE history. And you have her get eliminated by Peyton Royce. Now, let me make this clear. I'm all for new talent getting an opportunity. Peyton Royce, you know, I thought the Iconics really never kind of got a fair shake. It's like WWE pushed them, but they just pushed them in a way that didn't give them much credibility. That's the thing about this. And then I think there was a whole idea that Nia may have injured Mandy Rose and stuff, but Royce and Lacey Evans in this match, like, there's no build-up. If you're going to put these women in the match, then build them up. I don't even remember if they were on TV that much. Like, build these talent up and then put them on the show. So that, you know, it's like you go to Bayley being the first eliminated by Peyton Royce. Maybe if Peyton Royce had some build up, then yeah. I just don't understand. But here's my thing. Now, if you're gonna go there, then the idea would be, okay, Peyton Royce is going to be a breakout performance for her. She's going to start running through the SmackDown division because she just beat Bayley. She just pinned the most dominant SmackDown Women's Champion in history. Here's our second elimination. Natalya makes Peyton Royce tap out via the sharpshooter. This is why there's this bad case of people not getting over in the WWE. If you're going to go somewhere, then go all the way with it. Once again, it just made no sense. Why have Bayley lose if the person who beats her is not going to get a rub off of it? It just makes no sense. No sense to me as a viewer. Just as a fan, as a viewer watching the show, it just makes no sense to me. The third elimination then comes when Lacey Evans pins Natalya with the woman's right. Now, I will say this match did some very clever things in terms of the Kirifuda clutch with Shayna Baszler. The first one became in the fourth elimination against Ruby. So basically, she puts Ruby in the Kirifuda clutch, and Nia is distracting the referee. And so once the referee is finally done with Nia over there, Ruby has completely passed out, even though she reversed it into a pin. Steve Austin, Bret Hart, 1996 Survivor Series style. It wasn't enough because she's still in that hold for a long period of time. time, and so she passes out, and that ends up being the way that she gets eliminated by Shayna pinning her like that. So I thought that was pretty clever. That was pretty clever. Quick audio edit in here, as I forgot to mention this while recording the video, and that's that Liv Morgan got a lot of shine in this match, eliminating Lacey Evans, and a great showcase against Nia Jax before Liv Morgan getting pinned by a Samoan drop via Nia Jax. And then once again, like I was saying, there were some really clever moments with the Kirifuda clutch in terms of Shayna, because she puts that hold on Bianca Belair, and if you remember the history there, Bianca, I think, was the one who was able to last in that hold the longest, going back to their NXT days, and Shayna is just, man, she's got Bianca in this hold so much, and Bianca tries to power out of it, but her arm ends, but she ends up passing out, but her arm falls onto the bottom rope, and as a result, Shayna's like, she's passed out, and the referee's like, no, her arm's on the rope, so he starts counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he disqualifies Shayna, and that's how she's eliminated. So I thought that was pretty cool, you know, literally what it's like, you know, saved by the bell. In this case, she was saved by the fact that her arm fell on the bottom rope and she got passed out. Now, one of my things that I was hoping for, and I know a lot of people, shout out to Aaron Riff, happy birthday, by the way. Check his content out at nodq.com, and he was huge, and a lot of people were huge on saying the fact that it's probably going to come down to Lana as the sole survivor, who was basically just standing outside the ring for the whole match, hadn't even came in there yet. So it basically comes down to Bianca Belair. Now, personally, as a fan, I feel like this is how you get someone over on this spot. You've been hearing these stories about they're trying to get Lana over as a babyface by putting her through a table every single week against Nia Jax. So Nia Jax tries to do the same thing to Bianca Belair, and Bianca's like, nah, I ain't having none of that. And Bianca ends up basically going behind her and pushes her into the stairs, and then when she tries to run towards her in the barricade, Nia Jax ends up getting backdropped by Bianca, showing a great use of strength there, but they were outside the ring for so long, and before Bianca can get in the ring, the 10 count is over, and Lana, who was standing outside the ring the whole time, wins the Raw versus SmackDown Women's Elimination Survivor Series match as the sole survivor. I'm going to address this point. You don't have to be a casual wrestling fan. You don't even have to be a pro wrestling fan. I guarantee you almost show this to anyone who is not even a wrestling fan. You just show them this match, and they see all these women working really hard in the match to try and eliminate each other, and then they see that's how Lana wins. I almost guarantee you, any non-wrestling fan is going to tell you, well, what did Lana do to win? That was cheap. She didn't do anything. That's not how you, is that really how they think you create a star in terms of Lana? Like this finish, like I said, this whole thing was a mess. This is definitely the low point and the weakest match on the show. And quite frankly, what did it accomplish? I mean, Bianca did look strong. I'll give it that. Bianca looked strong. And there were some, like I said, there were some clever moments with the Kirifuda clutch in terms of Shayna Baszler. But other than that, it didn't really do much to capitalize off of the success Bayley just had. It didn't do much to capitalize off the success that Peyton Royce should having by pinning someone like Bayley. Just what does this match accomplish? Like, how does this isn't what you want to cheer for with a babyface. Like, you really want to like cheer like, yes, Lana is really the best now, because Lana was just able to stand there. I mean, great, good for her. She got a nice easy payday. I'll give her that, and you know, more props to her. But this is like, is this really how you build stars? Like really? Like, you couldn't even go for the cheap finisher where Bianca maybe forgot about Lana and she just rolls her up in 1, 2, 3. Like, literally, this is it. Like I said, this whole thing was a mess. Just wanted to make an add-on that I am all for Lana getting a push. However, this fluke type of way winning booking that they're doing with her, I'd much rather see her be that underdog that ends up fighting really hard and finds a way to overcome the odds. But not so much to the point, of course, that she becomes like the way WWE booked John Cena in the 2000s or Roman in the 2010s, but just make it better than her winning via flukes. Thankfully, something that is very much not a mess is the storyline that has been going on with Roman Reigns and the Usos, particularly Jey Uso. Fantastic storytelling, absolutely fantastic storytelling. I am a big advocate for, as great as the matches are, it's all about those characters and those storylines that once you are able to get the audience fully invested, it makes those matches all the more greater. And I thought we were about to get, if you guys ever seen the movie New Jack City, I thought Roman Reigns was about to go all Nino Brown to G Money style on his cousin. He started telling him, I ain't got time for this. I love the whole thing. He almost went Samuel Jackson style when his brother showed up and he was like, hey, he had a lot of people to keep control of, he's like, I don't remember asking you a thing. Just good stuff right there. I really enjoyed it, and this kind of set the table for where we were going into the main event in terms of matches tonight. WWE Champion Drew McIntyre versus the Universal Champion Roman Reigns. I think Drew McIntyre, given the circumstances, have done an absolute great job, best he can, to carry the WWE throughout this pandemic era, and Roman Reigns, like I said, has already just been fantastic since he came back. Personally, it just made no sense why they would take the title off of Drew, put it on Randy Orton, and put it right back on Drew, and if this is the direction you wanted to go in. More of this just last minute booking that WWE does during these Survivor Series shows. As far as the match goes, started off really slow pace, and this is where I was really concerned. When you have Michael Cole on commentary talking about how this match is very methodical, I was thinking, if this was with fans, they'd probably be booing that this match is boring and it's slow. And I just kind of thought maybe they're not going to go all out in this match, because I know I had seen far more explosive matches from both Drew and Roman, and I'm like, we know that they're going to have another match and there's probably going to be shenanigans, so maybe they're just going to take it easy. But as we slowly eased into slowly eased into the middle part of the match, this is where things started kicking into high gear, and boy, these two went at it. They were just kicking out of big move after big move. Roman, was getting frustrated, and Drew just kept having counter after counter for the spear, and Roman would have a counter, when he would have a counter if he went for the Claymore. So I really loved it. Great stuff. And then there's a cool spot when he puts Drew through the table, because the first time it doesn't break on a Samoan drop. Second time, Roman put a little extra spice on it, and it went through there, and there was this really cool visual of Roman. Basically, I guess he had some extra momentum to run from the closer where the apron was, and just spear Drew through the entire wall behind the commentators. And I thought Michael Cole was definitely very much on point here with his commentary. And then you thought that was going to be it, and you know what? Drew kicks out, and then there were some really close near falls in this match that got me really invested. Like, I thought it was going to be it. And, I really would love to see Drew McIntyre get his win back against Roman from WrestleMania. So I was very much invested in this in terms of that, but I'm like, neither man should be losing. More of that WWE booking themselves into a corner. So when Roman ended up getting another, a couple of more spears, and Drew kept kicking out, I'm like, whoa, these are close. Okay, so what are they going to do? It almost felt like at the point the match is going to build up, like maybe they're going to go there. Maybe they're going to have Drew McIntyre actually beat him, and that's why they're having him overcome the odds so much. And then Roman basically ends up getting hit with the Claymore, but goes into the referee, and someone comes running out, and I'm thinking, okay, this is where the Miz is going to come in. Maybe he's going to do something, in celebration of the 10th anniversary. He's going to cash in as a triple threat match and maybe make it for the Universal Championship. And that's how Roman figures maybe he gets to the point where he can't beat Drew, so he beats the Miz and kind of sneaks his way out the victory. But it's actually Jey Uso who comes out and hits super kicks, and Roman hits another Superman punch. He gets the guillotine, because at this point Roman barely has any energy left, and Drew McIntyre is still powering up out of it, but ends up falling. New referee comes out, sees Drew is unresponsive, calls the bell. So Drew never gives up, and they did a great job in terms of protecting Drew McIntyre in this, and Roman walks away. And I think tonight what we got here was a really good example of where Roman and Drew are both headed in terms of WWE as we continue to go throughout the 2020s here, because this is far better than their WrestleMania match. Like I said, it started off a little slow, but definitely far better. And on top of that, we had this cool moment at the end where Roman basically and Jay, they hug each other, and you know, he's like, you done good, you made up for the night. So that was pretty cool. And like I said, it worked so well for what they done, and I believe that they will come back and go on to a more all-out top to bottom match between Roman and Drew McIntyre, and that'll be where Drew finally gets his win back against Roman Reigns. But definitely a great match worth going out of your way to see on this show. And then we get to the final segment, which this entire show was built around: the 30th anniversary and final farewell of The Undertaker. So I want to make sure I don't miss any names here. So they introduce Shane McMahon, Big Show, JBL, Jeff Hardy, Mick Foley, Godfather, the Godwins, a long time since we've seen them, Savio Vega, Rikishi, Kevin Nash, Booker T, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Triple H, and of course, Kane, who was the only one that came out in his wrestling gear. As this segment was coming out, this is where you really wish, unfortunately due to the pandemic climate we're in, you really wish that if this wasn't going on, we would have fans in the arena, because they would have ate this up. Watching from home, I was eating this up. I was almost like, the star power in this match, it's too great. And by that I mean, it's not enough. Like, man, this took me back. You know, so many people, talents in this ring that I've grown up watching throughout my kid and teen years, you know, into adulthood. Like, just wow, fantastic. You're just reminded of just how there was a time in wrestling when everybody had a gimmick, everybody had a shtick. No matter how low you were or how high you were in the main event, everybody had something going on. It just took me back. It was just great seeing that. And then we had a great video package played to the tune of Now That We're Dead by Metallica, showcasing the Undertaker's highlights, all the highlights of Undertaker's career. And just if you've grown up watching the Undertaker, over the past 3 decades, 2 decades, even the last decade, I mean, let's face it, Undertaker's very generational in terms of the different generations that his character, he's been around for so long, so many generations. So how could you not feel the nostalgia of this video package? This was really fantastic. Just a great reminder. And I'm just looking at this, and I'm just like, unfortunately, sometimes in life, and particularly when we see with WWE, a lot, there's these moments that are not highlighted until a person's dead. So I'm really glad that the man Mark Calloway is still alive to witness the celebration of his career, of his body of work. That's what it was kind of going through my mind during this, watching this fantastic video package. Like, it's really great when people are still alive and they're able to see the appreciation and love that people have for their work. One of the weird decisions after the video package was done playing, they had everybody just vanish. All the Undertaker's friends from the BSK group and all his greatest rivalries and just, all his friends basically from the business were just vanished. You think they would have had them stayed out there, similar to what they did for Ric Flair, especially when you can't even have any fans. At least you got everybody who's been tested there to be there for the segment. So I thought that was strange. Also, I'm surprised they didn't have Brother Love come out, given that he was the first person to walk down the ring with The Undertaker 30 years ago. We had Vince McMahon come out, and it looked like Vince McMahon was trying to hold back and not get emotional as he thanked The Undertaker for 30 years. Probably his most loyal talent, he had, because Taker could have very well left back in the 90s, but he didn't. He stayed there thick and through, and he even stayed long after Taker probably maybe should have retired, and by all means, it is Mark Calloway's right. He has the absolute right to retire when he wants to, but I think a lot of us look at the match, a lot of us fans were like, oh, maybe he should have called it a career at a certain point. Even some of the fellow wrestlers were saying that. But yeah, no doubt, it was great to see Vince McMahon in there, giving respect to The Undertaker, probably the greatest character he ever created. From there, we got a really cool special entrance from The Undertaker, where they had like this electricity going off to the tune of The Undertaker's theme, and then you had the lights, the smokes, the cymbals, and Taker making making one more cool entrance, and then when he went to go raise his arms up to do the lights on and stuff like that, he was like raised on this platform and got in the ring, and they kind of like, you know, do the thing where you milk the audience saying thank you Taker and all that stuff. They had to be piped in, of course, because there's no fans there, obviously, in terms of the Thunderdome, but at the same time, you know that that's exactly what the fans would have been doing. They would have not given Taker a chance to speak at all. Unfortunately, because I have been a professional wrestling fan for a long time, you just know how these things go, and I'm kind of just sitting there like, okay, is this gonna be his moment, or is this gonna be really a retirement speech, or are we just gonna have like the Fiend come out and attack and set up a program for WrestleMania? So I'm not sure in which one, you know, it's going. So I kind of want to be there in the moment and just soak it in, and then the other moment I'm like, okay, when's the Fiend coming out? Because you just don't know. And basically, yeah, like I said, it was a good long while. Taker basically, he stated for 30 years he had made so many rests in peace, and now it is time for him to take the Undertaker and put him to rest. And they did this really cool moment, and I just don't, you know, if you grew up watching The Undertaker over the, you know, last 3 decades, how could this one not make you feel? The Undertaker gets down and does his signature pose, and they have a hologram of Paul Bear come out, and you hear the, oh yes, voiceover in the background, and Undertaker does a salute, 10 bell salute. And he then gets up and the music is playing. Taker just walks up, looks back one more time, does the signature arm raise, and then walks off into the behind the set, and the screen fades to black. And that's it. That's the end of arguably the Undertaker's career in the WWE as that character. Is it going to be the end? I don't know. You know these things in wrestling. Hey, Shawn Michaels got me for 8 years. I didn't think he was going to be in it. I thought he was going to take a couple of years off, but then, you know, he didn't end up coming back until 8 years, but I haven't even watched that match to this day. So to me, Shawn Michaels' career ended at WrestleMania 26. And as far as the Undertaker's career, if this is the end, man, you know, I was born the year that the Undertaker debuted, and I started watching WWE in 1994. So, you know, he was like he was the first wrestler that I think I ever saw, along with Shawn Michaels, and I automatically gravitated. 4-year-old me was like, oh, I like how the lights go out and it's blue and stuff. And as the years go on, like around 98, when I got really hooked into professional wrestling, you know, things were kicking in a high gear with Undertaker going to a more darker direction, and, you know, seeing him go to the Ministry, the Biker, back to the Dead, man, and just, he was always there as, you know, I went like into my adulthood and everything, and it's like, it's just been a constant, you know. So, you know, every time I think of the different periods of the Undertaker's career, I can always think about where I was myself, you know, as I've watched and been very entertained by Mark Calaway's work over the years, as I'm pretty sure many of you have. And like I say, he's generational, and it just, you know, it is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it had to be in an arena full of no fans, if that makes sense. Yeah, but yeah, arena with no fans in it. It's unfortunate, but it is the current climate that we live in. And how much longer could Taker really go? How much longer? You know, the Undertaker is in his 50s, and, you know, early to mid 50s. How much longer can Taker go? So I will say this once again, man, an amazing career, an amazing character. Everything that the Undertaker has accomplished in the WWE, it will never be duplicated, never replicated. It will, like Vince McMahon said, the Undertaker's career might be over, but his legacy will live on forever. So many people, you no doubt, has been inspired by the Undertaker and will continue to be inspired from the Undertaker. Like I said, for me personally, as a wrestling fan, he's always been there. He was the reason why at WrestleMania, you know, I saw him perform in 2007 at a house show, but one of the biggest reasons I went to WrestleMania 33 was because I had never witnessed the Undertaker's full-on entrance in its full glory. story with the smoke and the lights and all that stuff and the gimmicks that they do and all that stuff. And I wanted to witness that in my lifetime before he retired, because there was a lot of talk he might retire. So I was amazed, awesome to see that moment there at WrestleMania 33, and I thought that's where he would retire. But yeah, just so many great things. I'm not going to recap The Undertaker's whole career because I'm pretty sure a lot of us know it, and if you don't know it, that's what the WWE Network is there for. There are a lot of great documentaries and stuff they've been having on there. But with that being said, Mark Calaway, I respect the absolute heck out of everything that the man has contributed, not just WWE, but professional wrestling. What he has done with this character, arguably the greatest character in all of WWE and possibly maybe even professional wrestling history. So definitely, if this is the end, I thank Mark Calaway for what he did for professional wrestling as The Undertaker. And like I said, and Vince McMahon said, The Undertaker's in-ring career indeed will rest in peace, but his legacy will live forever. Thank you guys so much for joining me for the Survivor Series pay-per-view review. I thought overall it was a very solid show with an emotional ending that definitely is going to affect everybody no matter when you started watching the WWE. Given the circumstances, it was the best that they could do. And at this point, I look forward for The Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame, where I think we can get that true Hall of Fame worthy retirement speech from the man Mark Calaway himself. Until next time, guys, I will be back for a Royal Rumble 2021 review, as I am reviewing all the big WWE and sometimes NXT shows here on my YouTube channel. Until next time, here are my plugs. Thanks for checking out the video. Remember to share, comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that way you are notified when my content is released. And check out my upcoming short film, Battle of Deception. The trailer link is right there on the screen, in the description, and pinned comment below, along with the links to follow my social media platforms. Until next time, take care.